Hey there, everybody! It's Jump Button here, and today we're going to do a real-time commentary of level design for Crystal's Wrath. But before we get started on that, I'd just like to take a moment to thank our Patreons, our super really cool guy patrons. Those are Trexac, Langeman Glenn, Casual Fridays. Come back to the server, Chaz. We love you. We miss you, buddy. Large X, lowercase x, Brasta 455X, lowercase, uppercase x, straight out of the Xbox Live, username era, Daniel and Average Fella, Kian McKeon, Crawler TM, and David Shook. And of course, thank you to all the other patrons as well. Today we are going to be working on the exterior of the space station level, which is an end-game level. Not quite all the way at the end of the game, but really, really close. Now, I know what you're saying, oh, spoilers, but there's no story spoilers here. And really, there's no content spoilers. All the stuff that we've shown so far is fairly light on spoilers, and this will be too. This level, we've shown the interior of the space station, and it doesn't look like an interior in the videos we've put up because we haven't built the scenery for that yet. But the space station level we've shown so far is actually the interior. You're going to see big windows and spaceports and shit built up around that level. This is the exterior outdoor wall of the space station, and that's why, for instance, in the video we've shown so far, the level we've shown so far, rather, you're kind of going at this angle where you're going straight towards the Earth, and in this level, we're going to be going along the wall to get to the door that faces that way, so we're going to start off here, and I'm going to build out that way. The story of this level, without spoiling actual story, is that Crash ends up here, and immediately upon his arrival here, he is granted a new power in the form of Gravity Crash. It's Gravity Crash's ability to walk on walls. The trick to it, though, is that the wall has to be kind of, smooth. So Crash can't just jump from, say, this floor to this wall and stick to it immediately. It has to go up kind of a curve. One way to think of it is the gravity boots or the Magna boots from Ratchet and Clank. Those are pretty much what inspired this. Basically, our level design process right now is we do what we're calling a block zero, which is just really the rough kind of layout. Just some cubes, platforms where they're going to go, that kind of stuff. It's not even... A lot of people that follow game development and game design know about, gray blocking and stuff. This is not that stage. This is basically replacing any kind of on-paper graphing or sketching. I don't like to do on-paper level design. Never have. It's just, I don't like it. Never have. Probably never will. Somebody's going to come along and bitch about that. They're going to be like, hey, you should always design it on paper first. And it's like, I like improvisation. I know what I like in a platformer. I know what makes and constitutes good platforming design. I believe, anyways. So I feel it out, and we've got tons of different gimmicks and platforming mechanics and puzzle mechanics coming along, and it's easier to just kind of experiment with them and work with them from there than it is to just go, oh, let's draw this specific thing on graph paper and then stick rigidly to it and then have to change it in any fucking ways. So, but this is the Crystal's Wrath process, and that's probably why it takes us 50 million years. Okay, so like I said, I like to just kind of wake you up, so I always throw a simple jump in there, just something you couldn't fuck up, but hey, look, let's go, wake up, press the jump button a few times. So, and it's literally, this is what I do. I drag these fucking platforms, do the fucking uneven scaling shit, and when you start off, this is what I do. This is all I do. I just start off just like this. Just kind of fucking throwing out some little rough sketch ideas. And already I've decided in my head, we're not going to have these big, wide platforms for the whole length of this level. I just want this big area for Crash to start in just because, well, frankly, it's to me, you kind of need some room to start, and that's even in a game like Crash Bandicoot where you're focusing on linear progression and the levels are kind of hallway-ish. In Crystal's Wrath, they're not. But this level particularly is, because for one thing, I want you to kind of feel like as you go along here, you know, you're stuck kind of to the wall of this place. You're not, you have nowhere to go. So we don't really want you to feel like there's this big expansive place to explore, because you know there's not, and I don't want you to feel that way. But in Crystal's Wrath, we don't really stick strictly to the idea of, oh, Crash Bandicoot's a hallway platformer, it's 2.5D. We throw some exploration in there. It's just this level doesn't have much of that, and for good reason. That's good reason as to why we wanted to kind of show this level being blocked in. And one other thing is, I don't worry too much about the metrics of Crash's jump length or anything. So like you'll see, I'm not doing any kind of specific measuring of these platforms, just kind of eyeballing it, and frankly that's worked for me so far. You may have noticed we're not exactly professionals. Okay, so roughly so far we have Crash kind of starting out, you know, this kind of wake up jump as I've described it. If you fuck that up, you're just not paying attention. You know, and we got this space here. And one thing I like to do is when you have space like this and you have your obvious correct required path to take, you know, I like to come over here and, you know, branch it out a little bit. You know, you don't have to go crazy with the secrets and extras and that kind of stuff, but that being said, it's always nice to have a little bit of variety, even if you're not going for that full-on exploration. And now, what I've done here is just created like this little side area, you know, and it's just the way people are when they play a game. You know, some people want to just rush right through, some people want to explore. I like to hit both bases. So now that we've done that, what we'll do is we'll throw, you know, throw a couple of these in here. And the way our crate gravity works, I'll just show you here. We got I don't need any of this stuff, or actually we do. Okay, so we've got a sound for when it's destroyed, and we've got whether it's suspended or whether it starts stacked, and then the speed at which it falls. All of our crate gravity, as it is currently, is faked. It's done. It's not an actual physics thing. So if I've got a crate on the floor, it doesn't need to be suspended. It doesn't need to be start stacked. But if I want to pull it up here and say I want it to be floating in the air, I can say suspended. And the variables are kind of a misnomer. Suspended and start stacked, you kind of do want them on for like the first crate on the ground, because the way UDK does motion for things that aren't physics actors kind of can fuck with you sometimes. But other than that, you can kind of pop the suspended off for the second crate. You can pop another one up here, but just make sure start stacked is checked. That way the crates aren't looking to see if there's another crate below them. And you're going to notice the lighting's really shitty. It's because I've only got one light in this map right now. It's just a placeholder directional light to, you know, kind of simulate the sun. So we have some crates there now. And one thing I can do, cats just knocked some shit over. Of course they did. One thing I can do is right click and play from here, and if it decides to work properly on this map, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, you'll see the crates are stacked. I can spin them up, get all my fruit and shit. You'll notice there's no HUD right now. That's because I haven't set this map up properly. It's not a big deal. We don't need it for what I'm trying to do here. Okay. So another thing is, you know, it's always nice to have lots of little collectibles and stuff kind of leading to any of these little side areas. And one thing I like to do, especially with the Mojo, is I like them to be kind of erratic. I don't like them to be just a generic trail. So, you know, this is going to catch your eye and it's going to lead you over there. If you're one of those players who likes to fucking dick around and look for stuff anyways. So that's going to catch your attention. You know, it leads you to those boxes. I don't need to make it a perfect straight line that curves just so. Okay, so one thing that I really like is our conveyor belts for the crate factory. Now the thing about these, and these are going to render like fucking ass just because of the fact that, you know, they're the lighting's fucked. And it's going to be fucked until I do a lighting build. The reason I like these fucking conveyor belts is because they make sense in a lot of different level archetypes. You know, the factory specifically, but they also do me lots of favors here in space. And one of the other things I like about them, and frankly, I'm thinking about getting rid of that this background object for now, and throwing in, or rather, you know what, I won't actually do that. I'm just going to keep the space background, and I'll keep an angle good for these. Alright, so I'm going to see if these render fine in game. I doubt it. Yeah, they don't. Alright. But as you can see, they obviously still do what I need them to do. So just throwing those in immediately is kind of a way to be like, you know, hey, there's going to be some motion in this level. I don't need that. I don't believe I need all three of those. We'll just kind of fucking do that. Alright. So this is just kind of a little wake-up call, a little, hey, let's get going, let's get moving. So we don't really need much going on here. Wumpa Fruit are a little scarcer to come by than Mojo, and that's by design. You know, we don't want you cranking up too many extra lives. So I try to keep those limited just as we go. Crates give you a lot more than I have floating around. But, you know, there's 5. That's not a bad number. It gives something, a little spice to these platforms. I like to kind of dicker in some little crates here and there, you know, just to start off, because this is going to be kind of a douchier level. We're going to just give you an Aku Aku right at the beginning. And that's my cat screaming at the top of her fucking lungs. What we've got here is a basic little start. Now if I go to the beginning of the level... Spooky, would you mind shutting the fuck up? Just a smidge. Thank you. If I go right here to the beginning. So I just kind of jump over here. Oh, look, some Mojo. Let me go get some of that. Oh, crates. How nice. I love crates. Get some nice fruit. Hear that nice Wumpa Fruit sound effect. Jump up here. Jump up these steps. You know, kind of got a nice little opening. You know? And so when I play through that, you know, that gives me an opportunity to be like, oh, you know what? Some of those platforms feel a little close together when I'm jumping. You know? So I can grab these. Grab them. Yank them out a little bit, deselect this one, deselect the Wumpa Fruit, pull them out a little more, you know? Doesn't have to be a big thing like that. So another thing I can do is, let's say I notice, you know, those felt a little too short, right? I can do that. Give that jump a little more height. And that way, you know, it feels a little more fun to jump around on, because that way you're not doing this game of feeling like you gotta over control your jumps or anything like that. You kind of want, in platformers, you kind of want your jumps to feel like, you know, they're needed. You know, you need the whole jump to get across. If you have to kind of do this thing where, like, obviously I need my whole jump to get across there, and even just there I felt like I needed my double jump. I don't. But, like this feels a lot better right off the bat, because I need my whole jump to get across, I need my double jump to get across that gap. You know, it feels like I need to jump. It feels like the jump is purposeful. It's not like a situation where Crash could, kind of do like a skip across that if he really, really wanted to. So that gives you a little more good game feel to that. Alright. Spooky! Spooky! Thank you. That's going to happen a lot. Okay, so now that we're kind of back over here a little bit, one thing I want to do is, and this is just a kind of a placeholder mentally, because what we're going to do is, I don't know if the cutscene, event, whatever, that gives Crash Gravity Crash is going to happen right here at the beginning. I'm kind of feeling out the idea that I would kind of want you to arrive and, get this little wake up. Like, hey, it's going to be a platform intensive level, and then you get over here and, you get hit with Gravity Crash. So we'll do that, and just to mark that as like a good stopping point for the game. We'll throw down a checkpoint here. We have our own custom Crash player start here. So just kind of generally line that up with the crate and kind of point it where you want Crash to be looking when he spawns up. And what you do is you come in here and you lock up the crate, pick that start, and assign it. Simple as that. That's what we're doing with our checkpoints. So now if I were to go in the game here, or rather, if I were to shit my pants over here and touch the checkpoint, get my nice little checkpoint letters, cast a nice little shadow, and then kind of kill Crash, he should shit back out right here at that checkpoint. Oh wait, no he won't, because I fucked up and didn't build the paths. Okay, now that I've built the paths, what we can do is come in and crank open that checkpoint, electrocute his bandicoot ass, and he will fart out right there. So, now we have that. Okay, so basically right here is where I kind of wanted Gravity Crash to kind of start taking place. Before we get to the end of the level, which will be that door that enters into the interior. That door is actually going to lead right into the airlock door that you see at the beginning of the musical platforms video. That exact moment is the end of this level. So first thing we're going to do here is I'm going to grab these smaller platforms again, shit it out right here, and this is an instance where I'm going to need the wall because I'm going to actually have you walk up onto it. So we're going to do that. Duplicate another one of these out. We're going to kind of make this more into like a catwalk. Speaking of catwalk, Spooky, if you don't fucking stop walking around on everything and screaming, I'm going to fucking lock you in the bathroom so you can piss on all my towels. Hey, numbnuts. Hey. Hey. Dumbass. That's not a fucking bug. You're not attacking a bug. That's just a fucking tack in the wall. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually have this kind of start out this way. And the idea of this is not to be a 2D perspective thing. So we're not going to do any 2.5D crap. You're just going to kind of start this out. And in the final art pass, this could be Spooky! And in the final art pass, this can be more, kind of fancy, curvy, whatever. Doesn't have to be here. Typically, we avoid doing too many actual 90-degree turns in like hallway situations. In something like this where it's open air, it's not a big deal. So I need you to be able to walk up on this wall. So I need some sort of curve. I obviously don't feel like going and modeling a specific thing in 3ds Max for this right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to do one of these kind of ghetto low budget rig things here, and we're going to just pop in and test and make sure it's smooth enough for Gravity Crash to do. Okay, so this is the placeholder Gravity Crash. The theme is just yellow and black. He doesn't have actual finished art, so he's just going to be able to walk right up on this. Now, the fun thing about this is, this wall is going to be going this whole length. Perhaps he could walk back over this way, blah, blah, blah. The problem with doing these placeholder objects, though, is that gap right there has enough of a fucking bump that Gravity Crash kind of flops off of it. And that's problematic in some circumstances. In the final game art, it's obviously not going to be an issue. Now, my frame rate is going to be absolute dick and trash while I'm testing the game, just because I'm recording my screen and doing audio and all that stuff. My computer's getting up there a little bit in age. Right. But yeah. So, you could walk over there and do that. We could have something up there. It'd be great. Or I could be a total asshole and just do one of these numbers and just... Maybe this is where one of the girders for this thing is. It's a giant space station. Blah 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 blue. Got these kind of metal post girder columns going along the exterior. Maybe that blocks your progress. Okay, so now we're over here on the wall. And one of the things about Gravity Crash is when he's on the wall, he cannot jump. If you jump, you pretty much sacrifice your gravity advantage, and we deliberately went with that. I just find personally the mechanics and kind of obstacles I'm able to come up with are more interesting when you're not able to jump on these things. I'm sure it wouldn't be too ridiculous of a prospect to get jumping working on these. It's not the issue, just a design choice. So right off the bat, when we start going this way, I want to kind of hammer home to the player, you're not going to be sticking to the ground. You're not going to be doing these simple wall changes. I want this to be kind of a fucking weird experience, kind of disorienting in a way. Hopefully not in a make you puke, throw up your whole lunch way, but disorienting. And this is where using these placeholder graphics is kind of delicate. If this bump is too sheer, Crash will fall off. Shut the fuck up, cat. I love you, but you irritate the fuck out of me. So, I don't know what the fuck this would be. Some kind of ventilation shaft, probably. Cortex is a weird motherfucker, right? That's my thought process on it. Drag this out, kind of shit it up real bigly, just so I kind of know where I'm headed. And my mouse is not agreeing with this. Or rather, UDK is not agreeing with the way my mouse is behaving. I don't know who's to blame. Someone's to blame. Ghetto curves. Here's the great thing about the way our checkpoints work. If I duplicate this checkpoint, god damn it, not local please, world. If I just duplicate that checkpoint and drag it, it's going to make a new checkpoint. And that new checkpoint is going to know how to behave, and it's going to know to assign this starting point to itself. And that should do it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually drag this out this way. Get this little landing platform here, a little breathing room. checkpoint out here. Rebuild the paths. Oh, that's another thing that I should have done earlier. Set the kill Z to not something stupid. It's just a little bit under the starting platform. So if Crash falls off, he'll die and not fall for a million years. And in situations like this, where we've got it going up super duper high, we would probably throw a separate kill volume in here so you're not falling a million yards before you die. You know, just as a nice little courtesy thing. One thing, everyone's fucking favorite, is to just do this. Just be an asshole, you know? The fact that for this purpose, for what we're planning this to be, kind of makes more sense anyways, you know. But one thing I like, nitros for me, they're more like a placeholder obstacle. You know, something that's going to kill you instantly. We obviously don't have any art for the space station level yet. So really, I'm putting a nitro here, but more or less it's saying, hey, there's going to be an obstacle here that kills you. It's less me putting nitros everywhere, and more nitros are a good, easy, already programmed way to have something that just fucks you up without having to worry about it actually being something I have to go and build right as is. So we'll pull one of these out again. Don't actually have any space enemies yet, but one quick easy thing to do, it's kind of like the nitros, just I can throw in some of these flies, and you know, it's like, hey, when we've got the space enemies, this is where they'll go. And I know what some of you are probably thinking. We have all those like space missile things and the missiles that make the shockwaves and all that stuff. We're introducing those in the next level, so I don't want to use them here because that level is finely tuned to introduce and then build on the missiles. So I don't want to jump the gun with the missiles here. But we will have some space-themed enemies that will be more to speed for this area. What's nice about our Mojo is that it automatically changes its model and color depending on the worth. So if I throw a 100 Mojo in here and make sure that doesn't respawn when you die, when I play the game, the big Mojo will be, you know, big. These flies should come after me and get rid of them with a spin. You know, it's good stuff. You know, the fact that this is as curvy as it is and it's going to require you to kind of have some finesse to get around, that's as much of an obstacle as it really needs to be. It doesn't need to be this huge, giant deal. You know, like, one thing you can do, crank one of these out like that. What I was thinking, you know, is maybe I'll have like a little maintenance thing kind of jutting out the side here. And like I said, Gravity Crash can't jump. So like your first instinct is when you see something like this is to jump on it. You can't. So this kind of finesse you need to do something more fine like this is kind of, you know, a fun little way to fuck with the perspective and fuck with what the player needs to do. So what I can do is, you know, I'm going to throw a Mojo on here, right? I'm going to pop it up. Let's make it 100. You know, it goes from 0 to 100. Any higher than that doesn't change the model. So if I want 200, I might as well just make 2 purples. And if I was going to be a real nice guy, what I could do is do one of these dealies. And since Mojo and lives and all that stuff gravitate towards Crash, we can just kind of make this little stack here, and they will jump right over to him. You know, just a nice little diversion there for people who want to go for it, and if you don't, you don't. Not a big deal. And like, there doesn't need to be a million things to do, because, you know, like I said earlier, it's kind of the feeling out process for Gravity Crash. This is the introduction to Gravity Crash. So I'm not going to try to have you do a million fucking things. even though it is late game, you know. The difficulty for Gravity Crash is going to come along later in this, the further we get into it, you know. This is just kind of baby's first Gravity Crash. For now, that's probably a good start. You know, that took about an hour. But that's, honestly, a lot of that's me explaining and overthinking and all that crap. If I wasn't recording, probably work a little bit faster. So, what we'll do is we'll just kind of give this a light run through. And like I said, it's going to run like crap because of the fact that I'm recording, but, you know, just give it a nice little test here. And I fucked up the jump because it was running like crap. And like I said, this isn't going to be like a 2.5D section. This is going to be just 3D regular old gameplay, which is especially when you get over to this part. So, you know, the camera's probably just going to be remaining free. And I don't need Gravity Crash yet. I'm just kind of walking on this catwalk, so Crash can kind of just jump over these space obstacles. And, you know, you turn into Gravity Crash, and here you go. You can kind of come along these walls, come along this super cool ventilation shaft, which is totally conveyed by my fucking screwy space shit. You know, you got this little tightrope little situation here. Got myself an extra life and 200 sweet high quality mojo. You know, alright. We're basically at the top, so now Crash is gonna come over here on this. Camera likes to get stuck on this stuff, but it clips forward to Crash just to keep things smooth. You know, and then we got our nice little off ramp. Here we are at the top. Grab the checkpoint, switch back to regular old Krig. Take a nice peek at the Earth and see how far we've come. And with that, that'll be probably the end of this little rendezvous real-time commentary. I'd like to extend a thanks to our super really cool guy patrons who made this video possible today. Those are, again, Chucksack, Langeman, Glenn, Casual Fridays, Brasta 455, Daniel and Average Fella, Kian McKeon, Crawler TM, and David Shook. And, of course, thank you to the rest of our patrons as well. And if you would like to be a Crystal's Wrath or Pat Strikes Back Patreon member, you can go to www.patreon.whatever/PatStrikesBack. Link is in the description. People who jump in at the $1 tier can get videos like this early, a day early, a week early, however long Pat likes to schedule them for. People at the $5 tier can unlock early beta player tester access to Create a Coot, and in the future, $10 tier and up will have access to other playables and nice little things. And of course, the $10 tier gets you some nice Patreon exclusive content. There are some behind the scenes videos and stuff of that nature that we have up that are from the old build of the game, from a couple of years ago, from the current build of the game, all different kinds of stuff of us working on Skype, that kind of stuff. Stuff that will never, ever, 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 ever be uploaded to the YouTube account. Only available for the super really cool guys on Patreon. And of course, that's the Pat Strikes Back Patreon, so you aren't just getting Crystal's Wrath, you're also getting all of that sweet, sweet, sweet Pat Strikes Back content as well. And we also have Pat Strikes Back and Crystal's Wrath t-shirts available. Those are also linked in the description and probably in the end card of this video. So with that all being said, what I'll do, I think, is I will block in some more of this level off screen. And then we will hop back in for another real-time commentary in a few days, maybe a week or two, depending on how kind my work schedule is to me. And we will look at what it takes to kind of flesh out a level, instead of being just kind of the starting point. We'll look more in depth at what we can really accomplish with Gravity Crash, some adding some moving pieces, that kind of stuff. Really see what a full, complete level looks like in Block Zero in Crystal's Wrath. All of that considered, I have been Jump Button. Pat sucks. Thanks for watching.